All right, we're going to get started here. I know we'll still have some people joining, so you're probably going to hear the beeps, but we'll get going here. Welcome. Thanks for joining today. We've got another 2 hours to go through. We've got some good stuff today. You saw the agenda. I see we're already in the chat with a couple of questions. Or a couple of things that we wanted to tie up some loose ends from yesterday as we talked about some of the mechanics and the new clarifications and targeting. So one thing I will say, the original link, all of your coordinators, replay supervisors should have a working link of last night's session. The first link went out, there was an issue, I had to do some editing. And so contact your conference coordinator for our replay group that I work with every 2 weeks. I sent you the updated link. So if you don't, for whatever reason, can't get to it, let me know, shoot me an email after, and I'll make sure you get it. One question here in the chat, one point of clarification about the 10-second runoff rule. If there are two 10-second zap infractions by the same team, will we still have a zap? Under the old rules, I think we would, but has that interpretation changed? Thanks. Yeah, we'll talk through that. That's one of the things that came up. As of right now, let's make sure I'm muting everybody, but let's make sure we kind of mute ourselves as well. As of right now, there has to be only one thing to have a 10-second runoff. So if there's multiple, then there's no runoff. But we'll kind of put out, like Steve Shaw is going to put out a clarification. His first bulletin with interpretations. We'll add that to the list and make sure we put that out for everyone. So I don't want to get bogged down in a 10-second runoff conversation right now. The other question that came up, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page as it pertains to targeting. And again, don't want to get into a big thing right now. If the booth stops the game and adds targeting, that will be recorded as a reversal. That's no different than if on the field, the officials don't call 12 men on the field right at the snap, and replay stops the game and adds that foul. That's a reversal. We're overturning the call on the field. The call on the field was no foul. We're creating a foul. That's going to be recorded as a reversal. Okay? So that's how we're going to handle that. All right. Steve, are you with us? Steve Shaw? Maybe
yes,
Steve.
sir, Dean. I'm here.
Good. Yeah, I just want to make sure. I want to go through two plays, and I want you to add your input as needed. So I wanted to cover two topics as it related to targeting. And I'll pull up two plays. And the one play, we had the question yesterday about this play in the FCS playoffs. And this was the play where you're going to watch it live, the live shot, and we had an injured player, and it's actually the player that makes the tackle on the return. And as we watch this, and look, it's a bad hit. It's a scary, when you see the player like that, and this player was carted off. You can see the immediate medical attention. The card is going to come out, right? So we obviously understand there's a sensitivity to this. And we're all, hoping and praying that this player is going to be okay. But we can't let that enter into our decision-making process as it pertains to targeting. And as we watch this play and we go through our process and we think about what we went through yesterday, right? We have a ball carrier and a tackler. So neither player is defenseless. But then we're going to go and we're going to look at the body posture of this player and look at what this player's doing, right? He's lowering his head. Is he attacking? Absolutely. And then that last piece, is he attacking with forcible contact with the crown of the helmet? And as we watch these replays, and you're going to see the head lowered, and you're going to see the attacking motion, and then one more look here, where we've got certainly the crown of the helmet making the contact. So this fits all of the criteria for targeting, right? We're lowering the head, we're attacking with forcible contact with the crown of the helmet. So this is targeting, and I get it. We get it. This is tough when we've got a player that's obviously injured that is going to get carted off. We've still got to go through our process. And if it's a foul, it's a foul because there's ramifications to the game here. This is a 15-yard penalty that should be added. This is a second half play. So we do have the first half of the next game where this player would also be disqualified. So again, we can't let the aftermath impact our decision in terms of making this targeting. We have to go through our process, and it's a difficult one. But it's something that, we hope we don't have to deal with it. But when it does come up, we've got to go through our process and not let the aftermath or potential injury impact our decision making. So wanted to make that point. The play came up yesterday. Steve, anything you want to add?
No, as you said, Dean, this play came from the question of, would we announce a disqualification with this? And, like we said last night, we in addition to, making this a targeting foul, we would announce the disqualification. And again, do it in a sensitive way. As we said, if sometimes we hear referees say the player disqualified himself, we wouldn't want to use that type language here. Don't make it a big deal, but we do need to announce the disqualification with this. But I agree with you, Dean. I'm not sure why we didn't add this on as targeting. We had plenty of time, obviously, to look at it while the player was injured. And this is the type play that we want out of the game. And we have to be able to step up, regardless of the consequences of that play, step up and from the replay booth, add targeting on this play.
Okay. And then the other play, and we talked about this yesterday, the targeting foul committed by the runner. And we talked yesterday about why this doesn't happen very often, why just from the nature of being a ball carrier, typically they're not lowering their head to deliver blows, but it can happen, and it has happened. And this was an example that we've seen where this is really the bar where we want to set for the runner being called for targeting. And you can see a couple of things to look for, right? We're in space. Okay, we're not in close line play. There's not a lot of traffic. So we're in space, and we've got spacing here where the runner has an opportunity to do a bunch of things. Certainly could lower the shoulders, certainly could try to avoid the contact, stiff arm. There's a lot of options here. And if we go through our process, we don't have a defenseless player, but we've got the runner here lowering his head, attacking with forcible contact with the crown of the helmet. So this is kind of what we're looking for. And it's rare, but what we're looking for when we're talking about targeting by the runner, okay? It's out in space, has options, the ability to do other things, but instead lowering the head and attacking to deliver a blow with the crown of the helmet. So this is an example of targeting by the runner. So if it was called on the field, we would confirm it in the booth. And if it's not called on the field, we would stop the game and add the foul. Okay, Steve, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is the type play that we want illustrated, where if we're going to go with a targeting on the runner, it's got to be clear that runner is attacking the opponent. And I think you can make the case here that, as Dean said, he had options. He saw that the tackler was there. He then lowered his head and attacked him. And so these should absolutely jump out at us. Had this runner just lowered his pads and tried to drive for a first down, don't want that. It's that attacking motion to the opponent that we see the defensive player do quite often. Rarely do we see an offensive player just truly decide to attack that offensive player. And so this is the bar for targeting on the offense.
Okay, great. So one quick question in the chat, and then we'll get to the topics on the agenda. So the question here is on the clock rules, not resetting the clock outside 2 and 5. Is there a limit to the amount of time that can tick off without having a clock adjustment? Had a game last year, 56 seconds ran off the clock outside the 2-5 window. Okay, so I want to make sure we're not confusing two different things here. I think, and we mentioned this yesterday, this 2-5 rule or guideline only applies when we're going to reverse an on-field ruling. We've gone to review and we're going to reverse to a stopped clock. Okay, we're not going to reset in that instance. If there is a significant clock mistake, and Steve mentioned this yesterday, we would apply 12-3-7, which is a significant. If the pass is incomplete and we let 56 seconds run off the clock, then we would want to use O to correct that. And we're going to talk about O tomorrow. So I want to make sure we're all on the same page that if we do have that significant clock mistake, you have the ability to correct that using 12-3-7 to do that at any point during the game. Okay. And I know we've got some targeting questions here. I'll get to those at the end if we have time. Let's jump to our agenda because I want to make sure that we cover it. Okay. So as we think about making decisions in replay, and I think this is really important. And I want to make sure, let me just share my screen here so you have it. We kind of just have some guidelines as it pertains to selecting angles. This is so important. I don't know if we spend enough time kind of breaking down how we determine what angles are going to help us make a decision. And because the video is so important, the video is what we use to make decisions. And we can't do anything based on what we think, what we feel, all of that stuff. We've got to use the video to prove it. So let's talk about angle selection and let's look at some plays, some general guidelines as it pertains to angles and camera location. We've talked about this. The camera location can distort the position of the ball in relation to a line, right? We talk about if the camera is positioned behind the action, it can push the action forward. If it's positioned in front of the action, it can push the action back, okay? So we have to remember that, especially as it pertains to goal line plays and line to game plays. Another general guideline, okay? If the camera is positioned closer to the ground, it's going to give us a better perspective of any object, the ball, a foot, a knee in relation to the ground. The higher up the camera is, we're going to get the perspective is going to change in terms of something in relation to the ground. So closer to the ground, better perspective in that area. Okay, end zone angles are normally better for the sideline. Okay, so whether it's an end zone at one end of the field or the other, typically when we have sideline plays, catch no catch at the sideline, or we have a runner potentially stepping out of bounds, normally the end zone shots are going to be better than sideline shots. Now if we have a handheld that's right in the perfect spot, that could be a good look, but typically end zone angles are going to be better for us. And then the line feed, we can't forget about the line feed, and the line feed is especially good on line to game plays, usually near midfield. That gives us a good perspective, and on clear recoveries. Because a lot of times with replays, the replay gets cut off. It doesn't give us that continuing action, whereas the line feed gives us that continuing action. So the line feed is good in those two areas. It can be good in other areas, but we see frequently that it helps us on line to gain and clear recovery. So now let's get into some specifics. All right, catch no catch. Right, what do we want to see? We've got to think about that. As you're thinking about angles, right, we go through our process, what's reviewable, competitive effect, aspects I want to look at, and then identify the angles that are going to help me make a decision. So on catch no catch, what do we need to see? What's the most important thing? The football. I have to see the ball throughout the catch process. So what angles are going to give me the best opportunity to see the football? And that's going to be based on the position, where the play is taking place, all of these things. And we'll look at some video in a little bit to kind of illustrate that. Targeting, right? When we think about targeting, we really don't spend a lot of time on what angles. Most of the time targeting happens around the football. Not always, but it does usually. And so we've got looks. But what are we focusing on? We're really focusing on the upper body for the most part, whether it's the player initiating the contact, that player's helmet, the shoulder, the forearm, or the player getting hit, the head neck area if it's a defenseless player. So we're really focusing on those areas. So what angles are going to give us the best opportunity to make the best decision? And I think that's something that on a play-by-play basis, it may change, but at least we're looking at the right aspects. On fumble down by rule plays, right? What are we looking for? We're looking for the ball and we're looking for a body part. What angles are going to help us? A lot of times it's an end zone shot, and usually it's an end zone shot behind the defense or behind the kicking team with the runner coming at us. A lot of times when the angle is behind the player, especially when it's a play from scrimmage, we get blocked out by bodies, the defensive and offensive linemen, and it's a much different look from behind, trying to see that knee or trying to see that elbow. And I'll show you a couple of plays that hopefully illustrate that. Okay, QB pass fumble, right? What are we looking for? We're looking for the hand and the ball, the hand and the ball. Hand coming forward with control. So what angles are going to help us, right? The sideline angle typically is going to be good when the passer's facing directly downfield, because we're trying to get a perspective of the hand. Does it come forward? Is it a loose ball, an empty hand, those types of things. So usually when the quarterback is facing, the passer's facing directly downfield, the sideline angle is a pretty good shot. If the quarterback is angled toward the sideline, right, then the shot behind the passer, the end zone angle behind the passer, typically ends up being the best look. And I'll show you an example of that in a second. And again, we'll share all this after the fact. So I know I'm going through it pretty quick, but you'll get a copy of this. Touching, if we're talking about touching the football, touching the goal line, anything involved with touching, right? The ball and the object. If it's the ball touching the goal line, the ball touching the sideline, the player touching the football. So what's going to help us, right? The angle, the closer, the better, right? The more detail we can see. Especially when we're talking about touching of a kick, these are difficult plays to review. And so a closer angle, something that's a close-up, is going to be better for us than a shot that's further away. And so just something to remember. Okay. So those are just some notes and some things we can kind of look at as we talk about decision making and in the booth and what angles are going to help us. Okay. So let me switch gears here and let's pop up the video and we'll get going on that. Hold on, let me unshare. Okay. So let's look at a couple of plays that illustrate what we're talking about. So let's start again. As questions come up, put them into the chat and we'll go through them. So let's talk a little catch, no catch. So as we look at this, think about, okay, what is the issue? The issue is catch, no catch. All right. We've got to get a ruling on the field. Communicators. That's why the communicator role is so critical to this entire process, because they're doing multiple things. They're really helping out in a lot of areas, helping the technician, helping the replay official, telling us what's happening on the field. So it's important that our communicators are doing what they're supposed to be doing, making sure we're getting the ruling on the field, giving us that information. So here we're ruling a catch for a touchdown. What do you want to see here? What we just talked about it, right? The football. I need to see the football. So if we're looking for angles, I want you to think about if you could position the camera anywhere on this play to see the critical aspect, where would you put it? Okay, where would you put it? So would you put it on the near sideline? What's the problem with the near sideline? Similar to the line feed, we can't see the football, right? So just looking at this shot, I know that this cart that's on the goal line, which would be a great look for the goal line, is probably not going to help me because I'm looking through the bodies of the players, okay? If I'm thinking about an end zone shot behind the offense, again, I'm probably going to get blocked out. Here's the end zone shot behind the offense, right? We lose the football. We don't see the ball throughout the entire process. So if I'm really thinking about this in the booth, if we're thinking about this, right, the end zone shot behind the defense would be the best look. And if we're looking at the ball in relation to the ground, something closer to the ground would be a very good angle. So if we know that we've got the cart, what did we say about the cart? The cart's not going to help us, right? If we had that in our quad, I would ignore it, right? That's great for the goal line, but not on this play. If we know we've got this shot, right away in the booth, this should get our attention. Technician, new replay up, communicator, this is your look. We're going to get a great shot of the football. Replay official pulls it. We start to look at it, and there's your shot. Ball on the ground, incomplete pass. So we could maximize our time and be very efficient if we go through that exercise of what am I looking for? Okay, what's the aspect I need to see? The ball hitting the ground. Okay, what angle is going to give me the best opportunity to make that decision? Okay, so that's kind of what we're talking about. Okay, so go through it here. Okay, what's the issue? Catch, no catch. We'll get a ruling on the field, right? The ruling on the field is a catch. And as we think about this, again, get specific. This isn't a sideline play. It's not the boundary. It's the ball in relation to the ground. And just on this freeze frame alone, okay, if you had to pick an angle that is going to give you the best look, right? Is it going to be this end zone looking through the defender and the receiver's back? Is it going to be opposite sideline? Near sideline could be good if it's a low shot, but really the shot that I'm looking for is the end zone right here, because the ball opens up to me. The ball opens up to us right here. And so if I know I've got that look in my quad, I want to go to that immediately. If TV sends that shot, I want to focus on that because that's going to give us the best opportunity to see the football and make a decision, right? End zone shot behind the defense. What's the problem, right? We get blocked out, get a sense, definitely some smoke, but I don't see the ball through the receiver, through the body, through the arm. I really can't make that decision. Another look, again, from behind the defense, a little bit higher up. So this is going to be less of an angle of perspective on the ball in relation to the ground. Definitely some smoke, enough to stop the game, but I can't make a decision yet. Here's your look. We anticipated the shot behind the offense. Here's your look. Ball on the ground, left hand not clearly. He's trying to pin it up against his forearm, doesn't have firm control, incomplete pass. That's the angle. So if we can identify the issue, identify the angle that we know that's going to give us the best opportunity to see the football, then we can pinpoint it and make a decision. Okay, another play here. Similar play, okay? Get the ruling on the field. Ruling on the field is a catch. And again, similar to the last play, if we're picking angles, right? What's the angle going to be? I want this look. I want this look, preferably something closer to the ground, but this end zone shot behind the offense is going to be my best look, my best chance to make a decision on the football because I've identified the football in relation to the ground, right? We've got a high sideline, pretty good look. Definitely some smoke. I'm still looking for that end zone shot to really give me the clear-cut evidence. And here it is. Here's your end zone. It's a high angle. I'd prefer a low one, but it gives us the real good look. Ball's clearly on the ground before he can get control of it. Uses the ground to make the catch. Incomplete pass. Okay? All right, let's look at catch fumble here, right? Ball comes loose, ruled a fumble, recovered by the defense. So again, as we look at this play, and I know the video skips, but if we're looking at this play, what angle is going to help me see the football the entire time? And again, I should immediately realize that if I have an end zone shot, because the receiver turns upfield. If I have an end zone shot looking at it from this direction, that's going to give me the best chance to see the football throughout the process. Okay, sideline angle is not going to help because why? The receiver turns away from the camera and we can't see the ball. Here's the end zone look. Let's focus on it. This is the shot. When does he establish firm control? He never establishes firm control. I can tell because I can see the ball the entire process. We don't want to go too slow, and we're going to talk about catch, no catch in a little later. But that end zone shot is the one that's going to give me that best look. So what angle gives me the best shot of the football throughout the process? Okay, when we talk about the sideline, right, we talked about end zone angles. Okay, here, rule to catch. As we think about this and we're breaking down our line feet, what angle is going to give me the best look, right? I'm thinking of an end zone, but take it the next step. Separate the good from the great, right? Let's be great here. So the end zone shot behind the offense, right, would be probably a good shot for the feet, right? But look at the way the receiver goes to the ground. Chances are the ball is going to be obscured from this look. If I want one shot that's going to give me everything, it's the deep wings look, the end zone shot behind the defense that's going to give me the feet, and the ball's going to open up to us. And it plays out exactly like that. We get the end zone shot behind the offense. We can see control. We can see the feet. Okay, I've got some smoke, but I really can't tell what's happening with that football when the receiver hits the ground. Here's your look. We don't have to go any further. We've identified it. Ball's on the ground. Incomplete pass. Okay, a couple more. Fumble down by rule. Ruling on the field is a fumble. What did we talk about? Line to gain is great for clear recovery. Okay, it gives you the entire continuing action. Follow who has the ball. Here we go. White has the ball right here. Take it back. How does he get it? Can we see him recover it? He's number 3. He recovers it. We got that on the line feed. All right. Sideline look, not really a close up. Can't really tell when the ball is loose. So again, as we're thinking about this, right, is the shot behind the runner going to help us, or is the shot in front of the runner going to help us? Looking at the body position, looking at the bodies here, looking through the runner's back, I'm anticipating this angle is not going to help. It's going to be the end zone shot with the runner coming at us. That's going to be the look. Okay, so here's your end zone behind the offense. And again, it's tough. We've got bodies. I know the video is a little grainy. Okay, it's not as clear cut. We might be able to make a decision on that, but it's not as clear cut as this next angle with the runner coming right at us. There's the ball. Clear as day, no issues. That's your shot. We can make a decision. We've got the clear recovery on the line feed, and we can move on. Okay. Next one up. Okay, similar to fumble down by rule when we're looking at whether the runner is down. Here, rule to touchdown. Okay, we've got close at the goal line. We'll talk about goal line later, but here's the issue. Identify the issue right away. We've got a potential knee down right there. We've got bodies in the way. Sideline is probably not going to help us because we have bodies. So again, is it going to be this angle behind the offense, or is it going to be the shot coming at, with the runner coming at us? Shot from behind. Okay, we've got bodies in the way. We get blocked out. Can't really tell. Shot coming at us. It's going to open up. There's less traffic. There's your shot. So again, we can maximize our efficiency by identifying the types of angles based on what type of play and what we're looking for. Okay, we got a kickoff. All right, what's the issue? And we've got to remember now, college football, that has to kind of jump out at us. All right, look at that right knee. All right, we're too far away to make a definitive ruling, but certainly some smoke. And when I say smoke, that means an indication that we've got a problem. So again, if we're looking at this and we're talking about the knee in relation to the ground, is the high end zone shot going to help us? Probably not. Probably not. We're too far away and it's too high to give us that perspective of the knee in relation to the ground. So I'd want to focus if we had something potentially here, lower to the ground from behind potentially, or maybe we got something from this angle looking in that's lower to the ground, but we're looking for something closer. And there you go. You've got good perspective, knee on the ground. You've got an even better look here where you're going to see right between that player's legs, the knee clearly on the ground because we've got that camera that's located closer to the ground. Okay. Line to gain, really important, right? We talked about our line feed being critical on line to gain. Okay, what's the issue? The line to gain's the 14, big play, third down. We got to look at it. We've got the left foot out of bounds. Where is the ball in relation to the line to gain? Your line feed is going to be a decent shot most of the time. Here, we get a sense that it might be at the 14, but remember what we said earlier. The camera location can distort the position of the ball in relation to a line. So can we make a definitive ruling here? No, not on this angle. Okay, so as we go through more looks, right, we're going to get a high sideline, which is actually even further back, which isn't going to give us a real good perspective. Are end zone shots going to help us here? No, end zone shots are not going to help us. We can try to piece angles together, but again, when the foot steps out of bounds, we're not talking about the ball crossing the sideline, right? The sideline shot's going to be the best, and anything close to down the line. End zone shots aren't going to be helpful. So ultimately, your line feed was your best shot. This was your best shot of the 4 or 5 angles that we looked at. And not enough to change, but that's your best look, okay? Okay, goal line, right? We talk about that line, that angle, looking down the line, ruled short. So where do we want to go with goal line? And we're going to spend some time on goal line a little bit later. We want that goal line look, but an unobstructed goal line look. Okay, having the camera on the goal line is great, but if we have an obstructed view, it's going to be tough. All right, here, couple of problems, right? We don't have a clear view and we're not right on the line. We're maybe a yard or two deep in the end zone. That's going to distort it, right? We can see the football. I've got the ball in the end zone, but I don't know if that runner was down. So again, as we're thinking about what are we reviewing, we're looking to see if a body part was down and then where was the ball in relation to the goal line. What angle is going to help us? Is it going to be this shot from behind? Right? There's too many bodies. There's no way we can tell what part of that lower body hits, when does it hit. The best look, again, is going to be where the camera is behind the play or in front of the play and the runner's coming at us. And you can see, right, it's a low angle. We've got an open look. We're looking at the lower portion of the body. Okay, the knee is up, the knee hits, the ball is breaking the plane at that point. You can see it breaking the plane, so we can make that decision based on that angle. Okay, so as we think about angle selection, really, really important to identify the aspect that we want to look at, and that's going to help us identify the angle. Okay, so let's open it up to questions here on camera angles. So we've got one here in the chat regarding camera angles for officials that are overachievers. Okay, in addition to locating and identifying each camera before the game, is it common for replay officials and communicators to also go to each stationary camera before the game and study its true angle to the field and what yard line it is truly at? Okay, hashtag maybe overachieving. Okay, that's the new hashtag. Let's get that trending. So good, couple of good questions, a couple of good points. So as we think about camera angles, right, before the game, we meet with our TV partners, we meet with the TV truck, and we get the camera locations, right? Whether it's 4 cameras, 8 cameras, 12 cameras, 20 cameras, whatever it may be. We get those locations. One thing we do when we go out and we walk the field, right? That's before the game. We can go and look and where are those cameras? Let's get a sense for where those cameras are positioned. And let's start to think about, okay, on plays at this end of the field, that end zone shot is going to be good for sideline. Okay. We've got a cart that's obviously going to move. Okay. We can hopefully be on the goal line when we've got, a goal line issue. And then when we're up in the booth, we also should cycle through those angles. We should cycle through what's available to us if we're working with a quad, and then also ask the truck, hey, can you send us each camera, each feed, so that we can get a sense for what it's looking at. And we've got a lot of time in pregame, and that's something that we should be doing. So the opening kickoff isn't the first time we're seeing, if we start seeing replays, the first time we see those angles. So those are things we should be doing, not as an overachiever, as a standard protocol. So really, really good questions, and that's what we should be doing. Okay, another question. Catch, no catch. Is it appropriate to piece views together to determine catch, or single view only? I think that's a good question, not just for catch, no catch, but for any issue. We can certainly piece angles together, right? The goal is to get everything in one shot. The goal is to have all the aspects in one shot, clear and obvious, make a decision. Not always the case, right? Not always the case. So we may have to piece several angles together. If we're looking at a fumble down by rules situation, and one angle shows the knee and the other angle shows the football, we can try to piece them together, but we have to find a point of reference in each angle. And that can be difficult to do. So the more time you spend piecing angles together, the further we get from clear and obvious evidence. So certainly can piece angles together, and on some plays it's necessary, right? That catch at the sideline, there might have been, maybe there was two separate looks, one that showed the feed and then the other that showed the ball at the end. If we have to piece that together to make a decision, that's appropriate. The goal is to get it in one shot, but if we have to work through multiple angles, we can do that. But the more angles you try to piece together, the further away you get from clear and obvious evidence. Okay? Just a comment here, I used the diagram of the field in the appendix to note where each camera is located. That's great, right? If we can get, and some of our TV partners can give us a diagram and where the cameras are located. If not, we go to the truck, or we have that meeting, we can take a little diagram of our own and make a drawing so we know where they are, and then confirm that when we go out on the field. Camera locations are so critical. And this is something that if you have ideas and other thoughts on this, let's talk about it, in future sessions, and let's spend some more time on this, because it's the video that is going to determine how we make our decisions, right? There's really nothing, nothing more, basic than that. Any advice for RO who does not have many angles because it's not a TV game? Should the decision be quicker or longer? Can your communicators help with that? So yeah, that's a good point. Look, not every game is created equal. Not every TV production has the same equipment. And so not every game is televised. So you may have an in-house system where you have a couple of angles. Here's the deal. With less angles, it makes replay easier, because you have limited information. Once you go through that information and you don't have definitive evidence, then you're going to let the play stand. And we're not thinking there, wondering whether TV has another angle that they haven't found yet, and they're going to give it to us after the extra point or give it to us after the next snap. So in many ways, having less angles makes our job easier, because you know what you're working with, you go through it. It's not clear and obvious, we move on. It's the games where we have 25 angles, where those may take longer because we have to sift through more information. But again, the more we can do working through our process and identifying based on what we're looking for, what angle is going to help us, we can kind of pare it down pretty quickly and be very efficient. Okay. One other question here. Can you suggest where to put a camera if you believe a camera is in a bad angle? Here's the thing we don't tell TV where to put their cameras. Okay. They're working with us. Their primary job is not replay. Their primary job is to produce a show. And there's a lot of different factors. Replay is one of them. And so what we do is when we meet with the truck, we find out where the cameras are. We go through several things, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow with TV. and you know, we can ask for certain things, and if we know an angle is on the goal line, we can ask for that angle when we do have goal line plays. But we don't have any say or any kind of influence over where the cameras are located. That's for TV. Okay. Will the national replay staff inform the major broadcasters the likely views to present first based on what replay is looking at? So yeah, we continue to work with our TV partners on this. Here's the thing about our TV partners and our people that are in our trucks. They know the game. They know what to look for. If you've ever been in a TV truck during a game, it can be overwhelming, and it's so fast and they're so efficient at locating angles. And so for us, our information is what we're looking for, and then based on what they have, they give us the angles they think are appropriate. But this type of session, we'll spend some time with TV. Obviously, you know, I'm with Fox Sports. I can do that, and we'll do with our other TV partners as well, to kind of just continue to get on the same page. And I think our conversation tomorrow will be a big part of that. Okay. All right. So let's shift gears and let's go to catch, no catch. So do want to spend some time on this, and quickly, I just want to, again, share my screen here and go through just a couple of key things to remember on catch, no catch. Okay. So for catch, no catch, right? There's a process. Dean has a process for everything, right? So rule 243 in the rule book. And as we talk about possession, right? Three parts: firm grip and control, body part down in bounds, maintains control long enough to perform an act common to the game. And that last part is the most challenging part. It's a time element. They don't have to perform an act common to the game. They just have to have the ball long enough to perform an act common to the game. And we're going to use some video to illustrate that. These three elements apply in all situations wherever they occur. There is one standard, whether it's in the middle of the field, the sideline, the end zone. It doesn't change. The time element's the same at the 50 as it is in the end zone. Okay, it's not a shorter window because it's a potential score. Somebody asks you, I don't know what a catch is. Okay, it's easy. It's control plus a body part plus time. That's a catch. Okay, that's a catch. That's always been a catch. There's debate over certain plays. There's debate over control. There's a debate over, did he get a foot down? There's a debate over time. That's the basic equation. Okay. Establish control. That's the first piece. We've got to establish control. Control is not possession. Control is the first part of possession. A player can have control without having possession. Control is one. Control is A. Okay, it's the first part. You control the ball with your hands or your arms. Okay, you can't control it between your legs. There has to be a hand or an arm involved. You have to establish control before the ball touches the ground. Okay, you can't use the ground to establish control. Slight movement is not a loss of control. That's really important as we look at these types of plays. Okay, we've got to remember that. Okay, so what are we looking for with loss of control? We're looking not for slight movement, but for a bobble, a juggle, the ball to bounce off the ground, the hands to come away from the ball, to separate from the ball. Okay, make it obvious. Establish the body part. It's any body part, hand, foot, elbow, head, knee, whatever it is. Any body part puts the player down in bounds for purposes of a catch. If we have multiple body parts, if we have the left foot hitting out of bounds at the same time the right foot hits out of bounds, if the left foot hits in bounds at the same time the right foot hits out of bounds, then we have an incomplete pass. Okay, the body part has to hit inbounds first, simultaneous, out of bounds. The pylon is the same as the sideline. So if a player hits the pylon, that player's out of bounds. And if they hit the pylon before establishing possession, it's an incomplete pass. And for a normal step, the entire foot must be inbounds. Okay, normal step, entire foot must be inbounds. So that's heel, toe, toe, heel. it's a normal step and the heel comes down inbounds, but the toes come down out of bounds, that's an out of bounds foot. If there's a drag or a delay, that's different. Okay, time. This is the tough one. And we'll spend the majority of the plays that we look at are going to involve this time element. Establish the time. How long is long enough? Okay. What we're looking for when we're talking about an upright player, does that player transition from a receiver to a runner? Does he transition from attempting to secure possession to securing possession and now advancing the football as a ball carrier, right? And so what does that look like? Just some guidelines. These are not necessarily, every time it's always going to be this way, but some things that we can look for, right? Does the player have the ability to ward off or avoid an opponent, right? We talk about 3 T's, okay? 3 things you can look for to help us understand a receiver transitioning to a runner, okay? Does he tuck the ball away, right? Does he turn upfield? Does he take additional steps, okay? And it's important. All of these things must take place after A, control, and B, the body part is down. Okay, so this time element starts after the body part. And so these are things we can look for. Is that player doing one or multiple of these things to help us make the decision? Is he transitioning to a runner? Does he have the ball long enough? Does he extend the ball for additional yardage? A football move, an act common to the game. Is he reaching that ball? After control in the body part, is he extending that ball for the goal line or the line to gain? If the upright player does all 3, control, body part, and time, right, then we have a catch. And anything that happens after that does not change the fact that we have a catch. We might have a catch fumble, we might have a catch down, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a catch. Now we have to think about, okay, if he doesn't complete all those things and he's going to the ground, what must he do? And there's 2 things he can do. He's either going to maintain control to the ground, survive the ground, however we want to phrase it, right? If he hits the ground and the ball pops loose, he hasn't completed the process. So he either has to maintain control or perform an act common to the game on the way to the ground. And 99% of the time, that's going to be that extension for additional yardage. I'm going to the ground. I see the goal line. I've got control. I've got my body part down. And now I'm going to do something else with the football. I'm going to extend it for the goal line. Okay. So that's C. That's that last part of the 3-part process that is going to give the player a catch. Okay. So let's look at some video, because really we can look at all the PowerPoint we want, but it's the video that's going to tell us the story. All right. And as questions come up, put them in the chat. All right. So as we think about catch, no catch, and we're going to start with upright players. Okay, now remember, and it's really important, we're going to talk about philosophy. And there's an on-field philosophy. And this philosophy has been around a long time, and it's a good philosophy. Right? We don't want cheap turnovers. When it's bang, bang, incomplete. When in doubt, make it incomplete. When in doubt, wipe it out. However we've been communicating it. That's an on-field philosophy. And like I can't reiterate enough that it's an important on-field philosophy. But we don't use philosophy and replay to make decisions. We have to rely on our process and the video, okay? And just because we think something is incomplete doesn't mean we can prove it with the video. And we have to remember that. There is no when in doubt, it's incomplete in replay. The overarching principle of replay is when in doubt, the ruling on the field stands. That's why the ruling on the field is so important. So here, as we watch this play and we break these plays down and we think about running the video, we want to watch these plays in real time as part of our review. Doesn't mean we can't slow it up, and we will slow it down, but we need to watch it in real time, and preferably the first time you look at it should be your line feed in real time, because that's the only way we can get a true sense for the time element. And if I'm looking at this, right, I'm saying that's out quick,
Back out there. Let's
right?
go.
I'm saying that's out quick. Remember to mute yourself. But I can't make a decision based on my instinct or what I think. I've got to look at my process. And the first step in the process is what? Establish firm grip and control. And as we think about our angles, right? End zone shot opens up to us. We can see the football. Start with A. Does the player establish firm grip and control? No. Okay, we can end it right there. We can end it right there. If he does not establish firm grip and control, it's over. We don't have to worry about body part. We don't have to worry about time. He doesn't have the ball. Okay, so here, no firm grip and control, no A, it's over. This is an incomplete pass. Ruled catch fumble on the field, reversed incomplete, ruled incomplete. We don't even need to stop the game. We've got this angle. Always start with your process. Another play. Here it's the defender. Again, on the field, ruled a interception and a fumble. Okay, so it's a big play, regardless of who recovers. Watch the play in real time to start with. This is going to give you the best chance to get a sense of the time element. And again, if I'm watching this live and I'm watching this on my line feed in real time, I'm looking at it and I'm getting the sense that it's out quick. It appears to be out very quick. I still got to look at it. I've still got to go through my process. Okay, and again, start with firm grip and control. Does the player ever gain firm grip and control? And we can slow it down. We don't want to go frame by frame. That's the problem with slowing it down. Frame by frame, you can make anything look like control. All right? But we can slow it down because we have to see the detail, right? At full speed, it's going to be tough to always see the detail of control or a body part. So we want to watch it in real time, get a sense of the time element. Then we can slow it down if we're looking for control. When does the player gain firm grip and control? He never does. So again, it's over, right? We went through our process. We're not thinking about, well, did he have it long enough? Did he have a body part down? No. How many steps did he take? Doesn't matter. Start with control. Doesn't have control. Incomplete pass. Okay, that's how we should be looking at these plays. Okay, those two are easy. It gets harder. Same standard in the end zone. Doesn't matter. Okay, catch, no catch. Watch it in real time. Tough to see the ball on this angle. Okay, but in real time, we can establish that this player clearly doesn't, if he does complete the catch process, he doesn't do it while upright. He's going to the ground, so I want to see him maintain control. So I know I've got to take that next step. That's my time element, is him going to the ground. But start with control. Okay, if he has control, maybe it's a split second if he ever has control. Okay, so even if we give him control here, now we'll go to the next step. Now we'll go body part. Okay, does he have control with a body part down? And you can see just as that right foot hits, even if we give him control, which is questionable, he clearly doesn't maintain control. Clearly get the foot down. There's no time. Absolutely. This is an incomplete pass, and it's the same standard. This is incomplete in the end zone. This is incomplete at the sideline. This is incomplete in the field of play. Okay, now we'll get a little harder. Okay, watch it in real time. You'll see it live. Watch the line feed at full speed. Okay, again, I get the sense that it's out quick, but I still need to go through my process. Start with control. Here, He clearly gains control of the football. I've got both hands on the football, clearly pinned it up against his chest. He has control. Now let's go to the body part. Okay, does he have a body part down? Yeah, he's got a body part down. He's got that right foot down. And now the last step, does he have the ball long enough to perform an act common to the game? Does he, after that body part is down, does he tuck the ball away? Does he clearly turn upfield? Does he clearly take additional steps? The answer is no. Okay, this is not a player that is clearly establishing himself as a runner. Okay, so we can certainly slow it down to look at control, but we don't want to go too slow and go frame by frame by frame by frame and start to see things that really aren't happening. Okay, he does get control, he gets the body part, but he does not clearly turn upfield, clearly take additional steps, clearly tuck the ball away. Not long enough, incomplete pass. Okay, similar plays. This is why these are tough. Take a look at this one. In real time, we should be able to see a difference in real time. Okay, and now we're going to get replays. And we're going to look at those replays. And I would say this, right? In this replay, TV has already slowed it down. Don't go any slower. Just let it run. Do we have control? Yeah, we've got control. Do we got the body part down? Yep, we've got a body part down. Now look, takes a couple of steps, clearly turns upfield, then the ball comes out. Okay? We're talking about seconds here. We're not talking about split seconds. But this is enough to where he takes a couple steps and he turns, he's got the ball long enough, he's establishing himself as a runner. Okay? Another example. Okay, watch it on the line feed in real time. We should be able to see a difference, even in real time, between this play and those couple of earlier plays. Okay, but now we've got to look at the replays. And we can slow it down. We can't get away from slow motion replay, right? Because that's something that's going to give us the detail, control of the body part. But it's a combination. It's a combination of real time and slow motion to try to give us the best picture of what actually happened. All right, we clearly have control, right? We clearly have a body part down. Now he's going to take several steps, 2 more steps. He's tucking the ball away. He's turned upfield. He has the ball long enough. Okay. And again, they're not big differences, but these are the types of plays that we get involved in, and these are the types of plays that we're going to have to work through and apply our process. Okay, I want to spend some time on this play. We talked about this with our coordinators yesterday. Difficult play. And as we watch this, and we watch it in real time, the ball is out quickly. Okay, and we understand on the field, the on-field philosophy, and there's really competing philosophies on the field when you think about it. There is, the when in doubt, incomplete, wipe it out, no cheap fumbles. But there's also, because of replay, there's also the thinking of if I let it play out, right, and it is a catch fumble, then I haven't impacted the defense if the defense picks it up and returns it, right? I haven't killed the play. If I make it incomplete and it's a catch fumble, now I've eliminated the defense's return. So there is that thinking. Which I'm not going to speak for the on-field officials, but I've spoke to enough where that does seep into our thought process. But we can't get involved in philosophy, right? So the ruling on the field is a catch fumble here. In real time, it's out quick. There's no question it's out quick. But as we start to look at the replays, and I'm not slowing it down, we can see firm control. We can see the body part. We can see the turn and the tuck. Okay? We can see him take an additional step, turn and tuck. Okay. I could make the case in real time that this is incomplete. I can make the case on this replay, seeing the further detail, that this is a catch and a fumble. So if I can make the case both ways, where do we fall back on? And we have to fall back on the ruling on the field. Okay. I think a lot of us would prefer this to be incomplete on the field. And then again, if you can make a case both ways, it's not clear and obvious either way. I can't get to 100% either way. I've got to go with the ruling on the field. But this is a tough play because there's an instinct in real time to say that's out quick. And then we see these replays and we see more detail and we see what the receiver's actually doing. And this is a tough, if we're overturning this to incomplete based on an on-field philosophy, that is difficult for us. It's difficult for your coordinator. It's difficult for anyone to explain that when we do see the control, the body part, and the other things, the tuck and the turn. So again, there's going to be these plays where if we can make a case both ways, and we're talking about the time element and it's subjective, then what was the ruling on the field? And if the ruling on the field was a catch fumble, then we have to stay catch fumble. If the ruling on the field was incomplete, then we have to stay incomplete. One more example, and then I want Steve Shaw to just chime in. Here, again, real time. Watch it at full speed. Ball's out pretty quickly. Okay. Now we start to look at the replays. And we don't want to go too slow. TV's already slowing it up for us. I'm going to get another look. Start with your process. Control, I've got it. I've got a body part now. Now what happens after the body part? After the left foot, what happens? We're going to get an additional step, a turn. He's going to actually tuck the ball with both hands, get both hands on it, and then the ball's going to get knocked loose. So again, it's a tough call. It's subjective. I could make the case. This one, I'm further along that this is a catch fumble, but it's close. And if we can't get to 100%, then we've got to go back to the ruling on the field. So if we make this incomplete on the field and we can't get to 100% either way, it's going to stay incomplete. Same for catch fumble. And again, I know it's tough sometimes, but we've got to apply our process, and we can't make reversals and overturn calls based on on-field philosophy.
Just like when we run these drills, I know who can do what and who can't by what you do in the classroom.
Okay, Steve, you want to? I muted that. You can unmute and add your thoughts on that.
Well, it sounded like we had a pretty strong position coming out there, but yeah. So these are, and let me tell you, these last two plays, and especially the next to last play, probably, we talked to all the coordinators, and that was probably the play that we got the most, differing opinions on. And I think where Dean is just that. I mean, if we get the coordinators together and we don't have a consensus, I mean, that becomes a stance kind of play. And I agree that there's no question on that other play that we would want an on-field ruling of incomplete. We would support that. Probably if we had incomplete, we might not have even stopped the game there. But when it's you can make the case both ways. It's a stance kind of play. But I don't want you to take that and just because there's a lot of tough plays that you can make a decision on. So don't let that prohibit you from making a strong, tough decision. But I think in these cases where you can see, as we saw, where you get firm control, body part down, a football act, tucking it away, turning upfield, and then it comes out, then the timing becomes less clear and obvious, and staying with the ruling on the field just makes sense. But these are tough plays, and those are the plays where you have to earn your keep on these. But I think when it's unclear, when you can make a point both ways, that's a stance, and that's the philosophy of replay. And whether we like the call on the field or not, we have to honor the call on the field unless we have indisputable video evidence, clear and obvious evidence to overturn it. So, but don't let that not allow you to make tough decisions that you gotta make. And I think, Dean, I know we'll get into the questions, but the question I would want you to address is, what happens when there's a clear, distinct act like a defender, and we go back to that Notre Dame Clemson play where, the receiver turns, tucks, and then the defensive back clearly knocks it out or appears to clearly knock it out. Does that impact your decision on timing as well?
Yeah, and well, we're going to talk about that, looking at some plays going to the ground. I just have a couple more plays, but look, and why these are so tough is because you're trying to determine a time element that is subjective, and regardless of how the ball comes loose, whether it's a defender knocking it out or the ball coming loose for another reason, if the receiver has completed the time element, then the catch process is over. And then we have a catch fumble, or if the receiver's down, then we don't have a fumble. We still have possession. So I think it's regardless of how the ball comes loose, we still have to determine how long is long enough. And I think that's, the challenging part on these types of plays. But look, we don't have an issue, knock on wood. We don't have a catch, no catch issue. We just have, there's always going to be a couple of plays that are debatable. It's the same with the NFL. When I was at the NFL, we had the same deal. There's going to be the handful of plays that we're going to debate because it is so subjective. And so we just stick to our process, and I think we're doing really well in this area, and we just want to continue to fine tune it. And so really just 3 more plays. We think about that catch process, control, body part, and then time. If the receiver doesn't complete the catch while upright and he's going to the ground, then he has to maintain control on the way to the ground. And here he clearly doesn't. He does get control. He does get a body part, but he's now going to the ground before the time element has been completed, before he becomes a runner. So now he's got to hold on to the ball when he hits the ground. He doesn't. Incomplete pass. Okay. Now here, as we think about that receiver going to the ground and kind of the idea of that defender second act, whatever we want to call it, it's something that happens after the catch process is over. So if we're breaking down this play, we're watching it in real time, what should jump out right away is on any play, okay, where's the ball? The ball's loose, right? That's an indication of some smoke. Okay, so as we think about our process, we start with control, appears to have control, appears to have a body part, and now we're going to the ground. Okay, he doesn't become a runner before he goes to the ground, so he has to maintain control all the way to the ground, right? And if he does that, then any subsequent loss of control doesn't impact the fact that he has possession. So you're going to see him have control when he hits. He's going to roll over, and now the defender pulls it out. So regardless of how that ball came out, it's when it came loose. And it came loose after the catch process had ended. So even though he's going to the ground, he maintains control when he hits. He's going to roll over. And now that defender, and I'm not slowing it down, that's what TV is running it at. And now that defender pulls it loose. So that is a catch because he has completed the catch, the process of the catch, A, B, and C. Okay. And then as we think about the football, the act comment to the game, this is what we're looking for. Okay. This is a clear-cut example of a receiver who is going to the ground, who does lose the football, but he completes the catch process. Why does he complete the catch process? Go through your process. Control. He's got control. Body part. He's got body parts down. He's got both feet down. And now he either has to maintain control all the way to the ground or perform an act common to the game on the way to the ground. The act common to the game is reaching the ball out for more yardage, the goal line here. So he's doing something other than just trying to secure possession. He's reaching the ball for the goal line. That's an act common to the game. That completes the catch process. So that's a clear-cut example of what we're looking for when the receiver goes to the ground and he makes that football move. Okay, so let's look at some questions here. Let's go back here. All right. Is a player's hair considered a body part? I mean, yes. I mean, Steve, you want to address that? I haven't seen that, but it's part of the body.
Yeah, I agree with you. The hair would be, I mean, if a player has a towel or something like that, that's not part of the body, a towel hanging down, but hair is part of their body. I don't think we have an interpretation on that. I'll make a note. We may have some conversation with the coordinators, but yeah, it's you know, if a little finger's out of bounds, if the hair's out of bounds, it's out of bounds.
Okay. Can you have a completed catch and a targeting foul for a hit on the defenseless receiver? Yes, that's a good question. You can. You can complete a catch and still be considered defenseless, and the language in the rule book pretty much states that as we talk about defenseless players. So you can have a receiver who does complete a catch, but is still in a position to be protected as a defenseless player. So it doesn't happen very often. Usually they're pretty close hand in hand. But just because we have a catch fumble doesn't mean we can't have a defenseless player as well. And we've got Frank is in there answering all my questions. So Frank, you're up. Okay, in the Ohio State catch no catch play, you can see on the line feed that the clock shows 1 second ticks off as the receiver loses possession. Can we use that as an indicator to make our decision? That's going to be a hard no. We certainly, I get the point, but we're not. It's not a stopwatch type thing, right? It's not because right a player could take several short, quick, choppy steps, and that actually takes less time than a player taking 2 long strides. There really isn't a time in terms of 1 second, 2 seconds, half a second. But again, that's why we really tried to give you some more objective things, you know, the turn, the tuck, the additional steps, because we don't put a stopwatch on it. So I understand the point, but we can't use that to make a decision. So do we consider the action of the defender, Notre Dame Clemson play? Defender makes a play on the ball knocked loose. I think Steve alluded to that point. Again, it comes down to, did the receiver complete the catch process, regardless of how the ball comes out? So it's really, again, it's a time element. And so did he complete that time element? So we should be less concerned about how the ball came out and more concerned with when it came out. That's going to be the key in those types of plays. Toe tap, upright receiver at the sideline. How does time element change, if at all, as receiver slows down while now out of bounds? So again, yeah, you do see these plays, the toe tap at the sideline. It still applies, right? So if the player at the sideline makes, the toe tap, but then doesn't have the ball long enough to perform an act common to the game, and that ball is knocked loose or it comes out prior to him completing the time requirement, then it's going to be an incomplete pass. So it's no different. The time element is the same at the sideline, in the end zone, in the middle of the field. So typically, you do see those toe taps and then they take another step out of bounds. We're looking for those indicators. He's not gonna turn up field and take additional steps as a runner to gain yardage, but he will, maintain control for a period of time after the toe tap, and that's what we have to judge the catch process on. If reversed to catch fumble, is the receiver a runner and is not defenseless? I think we answered that question earlier. You can still have a defenseless player with a catch fumble. And I don't know, Steve, if you want to add anything to that, but I think the rule is pretty clear on that.
Yeah, I just to hit over in Rule 9, it under defenseless player, it talks about a receiver attempting to catch a forward pass or is in position to receive a forward pass, or, and here's the key words, or one who has completed a catch and has not had time to protect himself, and that himself will be changed this year, by the way, or has not clearly become a ball carrier. So you can have a completed catch, and if that receiver is still not in a position to protect themselves, they can still be defenseless.
Okay. In the Marshall play, the goal line, has the receiver gotten to his feet before the ball is pulled out? No, he hasn't gotten to his feet, but again, at some point, the process of contacting the ground has to end, right? If this player, I'll go back to that play, if this player rolls, or slides 7 yards out of bounds, at some point, common sense has to prevail. And so we're not necessarily looking for this guy. There was a time, when I was at the NFL and I'm sure, and maybe in college football, where the standard on the field was a show me the ball standard, right? That you had to come up with the ball, and it didn't go, as far as this, but they joke that, you hand the official the football, that's long enough. That again, that's on field. That's not something we look at in replay. We break it down, aspects, control, body part, time, and we make a decision. So at some point, this action of contacting the ground is going to end. And here he has contacted the ground, he has control, and he rolls over. This part of it is no longer part of the catch process. And we have to be able to make that type of ruling. Okay. It's not, he has to get up with the football, show the official the football. At some point that action of contacting the ground is going to end. And typically, if he rolls over, if he slides a significant amount of, distance, those are things that are going to be, again, common sense should come into play there, and we should be able to make those decisions. Okay. Any other questions on catch, no catch? Okay, great. All right. Moving along, let's go to the last segment for tonight, which is scoring plays. And we really, these are critical plays. And again, all of these slides, we'll share all these slides so you have them. As we think about the goal line and we think about a process that we can apply at the goal line, these are big plays, right? They're scoring plays. It's one of our big five that happen most frequent. And so we've got to apply our process in this area. So as we think about just the rule in general, 8-2-1, what as we think about scores, it's possession of a live ball that breaks the plane of an opponent's goal line, right? So we deal with this quite a bit, whether it's on a try, a 2-point try, a touchdown, those types of things. We deal with this quite a bit. Also, player catches a forward pass in the opponent's end zone. We just kind of went through catch, no catch, what that entails. We also could have a fumble or a backward pass or a kick that's possessed in the opponent's end zone. So we get involved in scoring plays in a couple of different areas. What I want to focus on in this session is really the goal line plays, and specifically pylon plays, because we want to make sure that we understand the pylon rules completely, because these come into play quite a bit and can impact our decisions in replay. Key thing to remember, the ball in relation to the goal line is always reviewable, going in or coming out. Okay, so we can always review where the ball is. When the ball is ruled dead, whether that's down by rule or out of bounds or progress, where the ball is in relation to the goal line is always reviewable. It's always reviewable. And most of the time, it's going to be significant. So what's our process? How do we look at this? Start with the football. The football is gonna drive everything that we do here. So let's establish first, before we look at anything else, does the ball break the plane or does the ball get into the end zone? All right, we may not see it actually break the plane, but where is it at the end of the down? Do we have the ball in the end zone? Did we see it break the plane? Start with the football. Then establish, okay, is it in the end zone? Yeah. Does a player have possession of it, or is it loose? What is the status of the football at the end of the down, which is pretty standard for most plays when we talk about our replay process. Okay, so does a player have it? Does the offense have it? Does the defense have it? The kicking team, the return team? Is it loose? Is it in the end zone? Is it in the field of play? So we go through that exercise. We answer those questions. Okay, then if we're talking about a ball carrier and we've got, let's say, a run, are we dealing with just the field of play, or are we dealing with the pylon? Okay, are we in the middle of the field and we don't have to worry about goal line extended? If we're at the pylon, now we have to think about goal line extended and apply those guidelines. So are we in the field of play where goal line extended is not an issue, or are we near the pylon where we have to think about goal line extended? Now we have to think about, okay, do we have the goal line extended? Do we not have the goal line extended? Are we inside, outside the pylon? That type of thing. Okay, like catch, no catch. If we're talking about the ball at the goal line and the ball coming loose, slight movement is not a loss of possession. Okay, the ball can slightly move. We're looking for that ball to come clearly loose, right? Separate from the hands, separate from the arms of the ball carrier. Next step, establish the body part that puts the player down or out of bounds, right? The knee, the elbow. If it's an out of bounds, it's any body part, right? Or when is forward progress ruled? Remember, replay can't add on forward progress, but if forward progress is ruled on the field, then replay can look at the position of the ball in relation to the goal line at that point. So let's establish when forward progress occurs. Okay, if it's down, it's like I said, any body part other than a hand or a foot puts the player down. The wrist is part of the hand, the ankle is part of the foot. So they do not put the player down. We're looking for a shin, knee, we're looking for elbow, forearm, anything above the wrist, anything above the ankle. Out of bounds, it's any body part. And what we learned earlier, it could be the hair, right? So any body part will put the player out of bounds. Pylon is out of bounds. I think sometimes this can get by us, right? The pylon is no different than stepping on the sideline. And then we're going to look at some plays where it's pretty significant. Goal line extended. All right. When does a player get the goal line extended? You either get a body part down in the end zone, any body part, any part of the body, and that could be the toes, that could be a toe drag, that could be anything, a finger, or any body part touching the pylon. The difference, though, is that the body part touching down in the end zone doesn't kill the play, doesn't put the player out of bounds. Touching the pylon does. But both will give the player the goal line extended. Okay, and then really the last piece, which is the most critical, is at the time when we've established the body part, down, out of bounds, progress, we've got to look at the location of the ball in relation to the goal line. Okay, and that's going to be the key to making our decision. So you ask yourself, when the runner is down, out of bounds, or progress is ruled, where is the ball? Can we find the football? And if we can, then we can freeze that shot. We've got the knee down, we've got the ball, we've got the look, freeze the shot. If any part of the ball is breaking the plane, then it's a score. Okay, and it's really that simple. Okay, the problem is we don't always have the look. The problem is there's a lot of bodies down at the goal line. We don't always have a great look at the football. But in its simplest terms, if we've got all that, freeze it, ball breaking the plane, score. Ball short, no score. Ball loose, no score. Analyze the angles. start with the goal line shot if it's available, right? That's a pretty good guideline that we can use most of the time. Now, look, if it's an 80-yard run, chances are you're not going to have a shot on the goal line. We understand that, right? But typically, when we get inside the red zone, for the most part, we've got a good chance of getting that shot on the goal line. As we think about anticipating camera angles, goal to goal plays, where's the card if we have one? Where's the handheld? Do we have a look down the line? If we know we have it, then we start with that angle, because that's going to be the best look down the line. It might not always be the best look because we might not see what we need to see, but it's going to be the best angle from a down the line perspective. We said this earlier, any angle not down the line will distort the position of the ball. Okay, and that's important to remember. And you're going to look at some plays in a second that's going to illustrate that. We talked about this earlier. The camera closer to the ground will provide a better perspective of the object in relation to the ground. Typically at the goal line, this is going to be the knees, the elbows, the things that put the player down. The pylon, it's that end zone angle that's looking at the pylon, and I'll show you an example of that. That's usually a really good look when the ball crosses over the pylon. When the ball touches the pylon, it tends to be easier, but when the ball crosses over the pylon, it's really tough sometimes. So that end zone shot where the play is actually coming at the camera is usually a really good look if we have that look. You can piece angles together. We talked about that earlier. But again, and this is, if we have one philosophy, and I don't even like to call it a philosophy because it's really a guiding principle. It's the basic premise of replay. Okay, right? No definitive evidence, the ruling on the field stands. The only exception to that is targeting when we can't confirm all the elements. But everything else, no definitive evidence, the ruling on the field stands. And we have to remember that. And it's really important as we talk about scoring plays. So let's look at some video. So again, we're going to just apply our process to these plays. So pre-snap, we've got to be thinking about, right? We always talk about our pre-snap routine and what we're anticipating, right? So if I'm, and again, this is where I can't emphasize enough how important the communicator role is as we give our replay official the play-by-play and set it up, and we can anticipate things, really, really critical. And so as we think about here, right, second quarter, 12:44 to go, score time, not overly concerned. There's still a lot of football left. But what I am concerned about is the goal line. We're first and goal at the 4. So I'm thinking about goal line. I'm thinking about, do I have a look on the line? Do I have a cart down here on the goal line? If we have a handout, where is the handout? Do we have something down the line that is going to help us? Okay, I'm looking at my formation just based on the formation and looking at, I've got 3 receivers out here, 3 eligible players out here to the field. I'm thinking potentially run. I'm thinking to something maybe to this side, okay, potentially. But there's a lot of options, but we're just thinking about goal line. We're thinking on first and goal, probably a run, and we're getting our counts and we're ready to go. Okay, so we set that all up, okay, and we end up with the run up the middle. What's the first thing? Find the football. Find the football. Where is the football? It's in the end zone, but who has it? The defense has it. Okay? The ball is loose in the end zone and the defense has it. That has to jump out at us. That has to be some smoke. We've got to smell that smoke. Okay? If we go through our process, we're going to identify that right away. We're not going to sit here and start looking at the runner and going, well, does he break the plane? Does he do, can't tell. Find the ball first. Ball's loose, defense has it. Okay, that jumps out. Let's get a ruling. Okay, let's get a ruling. Okay, ruling, get our official. And that's why, again, our communicator. Let's look for signals. Official up here. What is that signal? Okay, we're ruling a touchback, meaning we have a fumble into the end zone recovered by the defense. Big play, goal line's involved. We already got the ball in the end zone. Let's get our goal line shot if we have it, if we know we have it, okay? Because what's the problem with this angle, right? The end zone shot. We can't really, there's definitely some smoke, but I'm 95% sure that ball is loose before the goal line. I can't be 100% sure because this angle doesn't give me the perspective of the ball in relation to the goal line. Here's the look. And if I have an unobstructed view and I know this is in my quad, there you go. We don't have to go any further. We got a malign feed to clear recovery. We found the football at the end. There's your shot. Clear as day, unobstructed goal line look. If we go right to that, we can confirm this with a Booth confirmation and move on. If it's ruled a touchdown, we can stop the game immediately, quick reversal, and make it a touchback. So that's how the process is applied. And I know not every play is going to be that easy, but we can be really efficient if we apply our process and go through the right steps. So here again, 3rd and goal, big play. I'm thinking goal line, right? 3rd and goal could be pass as well. I've got 3 receivers to the top. I do have a back, but again, I want to know where my cameras are. Do we have a cart? Do we have a pylon camera maybe? Okay, and that's going to depend on the production, but I know if it's this game, then we're probably going to have pretty good looks, and we should have something down the goal line. So we're going to get a sweep here to the right, find the football. Okay, where's the football? Can we see it break the plane? No, we lose the football there. At the end of the down, where's the football? Find it. Okay, it's in the end zone, and the runner does have possession. So we can eliminate any kind of loose ball situation. All right, now let's go to the body part. Next step, find the body part that puts the player down. Looks like it's his backside. So if we freeze it there and we try to find the ball in relation to the goal line, can we make a decision here? No, we can't see the ball. But I know it's his backside that hits, and I know now I take that additional step. Guess what? My goal line shot from here is probably not going to be a great look. Okay, I want to go to it if we have it, but it's probably not going to be a great look just because the runner is turned, the back is toward the camera, and I'm anticipating getting blocked out. Okay, ruling on the field is short. Here's I believe our cart. I've got the backside down, but I can't see the football. I can assume, but I can't make a definitive ruling because I can't see the football when the body part is down. Pylon camera would be a great look if the ball was to us, but the ball is not to us. So really, as we're thinking about this and we're going through our angles, and again, this is not normal that we're going to have 3 separate goal line shots, right? Usually we're going to have one. And if this is all we had, the one look, right, we can't make a definitive ruling. The ruling on the field stands. Now, if I know in a game like this, if I've got the opposite, right, the reverse angle, that's going to be the one that I want to focus on because the ball's going to open up to us. So here, you can see the backside hit. I got a better look at the ball. It's still not great because of just the way the arms are positioned. But at the very least, I feel comfortable that, look, I don't have enough evidence. We're going to let this stand. But this is the look if we had it. But I know the majority of our games aren't going to have this reverse angle. Go to your goal line shot, can't see the ball, ruling on the field stands. This is when I want to make sure that we're on the same page, okay? So here we've got to try, it's the same issue at the goal line. You know, get our ruling. You can see the official right away go up. We've got awarding the score, big play. Look at the game, look at the score here. So go through your process. Does the ball, can we see the ball break the plane? Yeah, I can see the ball break the plane. I've got the ball in the end zone. I've got the runner in possession. So I've got that part. So now let's go and look at the first body part. And I can see pretty clearly that the right knee is the first body part to hit. So now I can freeze it. I can take that still frame and I can say, okay, where's the ball in relation to the goal line? I can't make a definitive ruling on this angle because we're not down the line. and we're always going to push the action forward. Look at the angle where the camera is and look at the position of the ball. And it looks like, if you had to guess from this angle, I would say it's probably breaking the plane, but I can't say for certain. So I need that goal line look. Do we have that goal line look? Okay, this is even worse than our line feed because we're behind the action. So again, I've got the ball in the end zone. At the end, I've got the knee down, but I just can't tell where the ball is at that point. So I'm still out of stance. This isn't going to help us at all. The only way this angle would help us is if the previous angles didn't show us the right knee. We talked about objects in relation to the ground. If we still didn't have the right knee down, this angle would help us, but we'd still have to piece angles together, and it becomes even more difficult to get definitive evidence. All right. Here's another look. All right. Is this the goal line shot? Are we on the line? And that's what you have to ask yourself. It appears short, but on the other shot, it appeared like the ball may have been breaking the plane. If this camera is not right down the line, which it isn't, we don't have definitive evidence. It looks short, but can we say 100%? No, we can't, because we don't have the look down the line. This camera is positioned in the end zone. Okay, maybe a yard, 2 yards, but it's not on the line. And that is going to distort the position of the ball in relation to the line. And we can't overturn based on this shot. And it's really important that we understand that. We can overturn in certain situations without a goal line shot. We saw it play earlier. But when it's this close and this tight, without the look down the line, the unobstructed look, it's going to be very difficult to make a definitive ruling. Another example here. Go through your process. Your ruling on the field is a touchdown. Find the ball. Okay, I've got the runner in the end zone with the football. Okay, can I see it break the plane? Looks like it's going to break the plane right there. But now I've got to go back and find that body part. Okay, can I see the body part here? Can I get a sense? Looks like it might be the right knee. Okay, take as much information from your line feed as possible. Looks like it might be the right knee, but I don't know for sure. Okay, do I have a goal line shot? If I do, we might have a problem, because look at all the bodies in the way. Chances are my goal line look from this near sideline is not going to help me very much, because we're probably not going to see the football. So maybe we've got a reverse angle, and we do get a reverse angle, but very similar to the previous play. Where is this camera positioned? Is it down the line? No, it's not down the line. It's in the end zone. So it gives the appearance that the ball is short, but we can't prove it. And if we don't have an unobstructed look, and the best angle here would be a reverse angle down the line, if we don't have that, we can't make a definitive ruling. And so it might look like it's short, but if you can't prove it 100%, you've got to let the ruling on the field stand. Either way here. Stands means whatever they ruled on the field, touchdown or short, we would let it stand. Okay, as we look at here, similar type play. Okay, so here, as we think about the ball snapped at, outside the 20, at the 28, probably not going to have a camera positioned on the goal line. Okay, we'll see what we end up with, but I'm not anticipating, I'm not thinking about goal line, my sense of urgency for goal line is not that great at the 27. Even though we're going in, I'm going to certainly be more aware of the goal line the closer we get. But now, as the runner breaks into the open, now I better be thinking about goal line. And right now, if I can take this still frame in my mind, I know I've got a runner and I've got a defender. And chances are we may end up with an attempted tackle near the line. And we've got to be aware of that. Okay? So we get a ruling on the field is a touchdown. Go through your process on the line feed. I can see the ball break the plane, right? I can see the ball breaking the plane. I have the ball in the end zone in the possession of the runner. So a loose ball is not an issue, but now we got to find that body part. And it appears on the line feed that it's going to be that right arm. Looks like it could be the forearm or the elbow. And if I take that still frame right there with the camera positioned behind the action, it looks like the ball might be breaking the plane. It's close, but I certainly can't make a definitive ruling. Definitely smoke. Definitely if I don't get a good look to confirm, I've got to stop it. But again, that body part looks like that right arm. Where is the ball in relation to the goal line? Can't make a definitive ruling. Again, what did we say about end zone shots on plays like this? They're not going to help us, right? Maybe, I know there's a shadow, maybe it helps us a little bit with the body part, but we've already established that the right arm is the first thing that hits. But there's no perspective for the ball in relation to the line. Here's your look, okay? The best look we're going to get. But again, are we on the goal line? And the answer is no. So you have to, and that should be one of the questions you ask yourself. Is this camera on the goal line on a play like this? It's not. So when we have that right arm down, okay, is the ball breaking the plane? It looks like it could be short, but can we be 100% certain that when that arm is down, the ball is not breaking the plane? We can't. Right? When it's this close, we really need that look down the line. And if we can't get to 100%, we've got to let the ruling on the field stand. So just want to make that point on a couple of those plays that we're not overturning without sufficient evidence. And then here, as we talk about, right, that continuing action, here the ruling on the field is going to be out of bounds at the 2. Now, this is reviewable because if the runner gets into the end zone in that continuing action, which this is in the continuing action, we can make this a score and replay. So we're putting the ball at the 2. If we go to review, we're looking to see, okay, I've got good look on my pylon of the hand hitting out of bounds, but where is the ball, right? The ball looks short, because the pylon is obviously, the camera's positioned in the pylon. It looks short. I just don't know where it is exactly. Another look here. So if we go to review here and we get this look, we should move the ball. Even though we're not making it a score, we're reviewing the ball in relation to the goal line. We can move it closer to the goal line. The ball is out at the 2 on the field. It's clearly, with this look, it's obvious the ball should be at the half-yard line. Put the ball at the half-yard line, and that's where we're going to go for the next snap. Okay, without this clear look, and we're not sure, we're not going to move the ball, we're not sure. But we can always move the ball closer to the goal line, and if we're looking to see if he scored and we see that he didn't, but the ball should be 1.5 yards closer, and we've got this good look, we should move the ball. Okay? All right, so let's look at some pylon plays. So as we think about the pylon and the goal line extended, all right, same process. Get your ruling. Here it's a try attempt. Ruled no good. Okay, no good. Big play. Look at the situation, right? Pre-snap, if we don't anticipate this being a big play, then we're not in the game. Okay, this is about as big as it gets. So ruled no good. We got to look at this. Get the ball in the end zone. Okay, I've got the ball. It appears to be in the end zone, but it's out of bounds, right? So I've either got to get goal line extended, or I've got to cross inside or over the pylon. Okay, so as we look at this, runner has possession, ball does appear to break the plane, but the question is going to be, is it inside over the pylon, or are we going to get the goal line extended? So as we look at goal line extended, we're looking for, like we said earlier, the body part down in the end zone or the body part hitting the pylon. Watch the foot. Watch the toe there, okay? That gives him goal line extended. He gets a body part in the end zone. So now, okay, as long as the ball breaks the plane, it can break the plane outside the pylon. And we can go back to our line feed and see that the ball breaks the plane. He gets the goal line extended, the ball breaking the plane. We can reverse this, but we've got to establish the goal line extended on plays like this. And that body part and just that toe tap right there, that puts the player. This is not like toe, heel, heel, toe for a catch. Okay, it's any body part, and that toe tap right there puts the player in the end zone and gives him the goal line extended. And you can see here the goal line shot, where when the toe is down, great look, the ball over the goal line, touch, score, try good. Okay, same thing. We deal with these sideline plays. We've got to start with the sideline. Does he step out? He doesn't. Now he's airborne. What does he hit? Does he hit out of bounds? Does he hit the pylon? Does he hit inbounds? All these things are in play. So as we watch this, okay, if he hits that pylon, he's going to get that goal line extended. All right. And then we'd have to make the determination, where is the ball in relation to the goal line? So if that knee hits the pylon first, he gets the goal line extended. If the right foot hits before out of bounds, before he gets a piece of that pylon, right, it's dead at that point, right? Then it's just, where is the ball at that point? So it's really over at this point. The knee's hitting, the foot's hitting, where is the ball in relation to the goal line? And without a goal line shot on a play like this, it's going to be difficult to make a decision. So we've got to, again, there's the ball breaking the plane, hasn't hit yet, foot hasn't touched yet. Now we can make that decision. Okay, but that's kind of your process. Find the ball in the end zone, find that body part that either puts the player out of bounds, think about goal line extended when the pylon's involved, and now look at the angles to make a decision. Another play here. This is one that can get by us. Rule the touchdown. Find the ball. Okay. Does the ball break the plane? It's close. I can't tell. It looks like it might break the plane. Runner ends up out of bounds with the football. Okay. So this is going to be close. Find that first body part. He lands out of bounds. Doesn't appear to get anything inbound in the end zone. Lands on his back. Pylon gets knocked over. What hits the pylon? Okay. So if we're analyzing our line feed, this should get our attention. Looks like his left hand, left arm may hit the pylon. Here's your goal line look. If we've got it, let's go to it. What do we got here? He's hitting the pylon. That gives him the goal line extended, but it also puts him out of bounds. And so it's just like the player stepping out. So at this point, the ball is dead. So we've got it, ball dead, short of the goal line. We can reverse this to short. And so we can't lose sight of the fact that the goal line extended, he does get it when he touches the pylon, but it also puts that player out of bounds. Okay, good example here. Where's the ball? Ball's loose. Okay, it's out of bounds, beyond the goal line. That has to get our attention. Okay. On our line feed, looks like the ball hits the pylon. If the ball hits the pylon, it's dead in the end zone. Question's going to be, does he have possession of the football at that point? Really good look. He's got possession, ball hits the pylon, he's got a touchdown at that point. And when we talk about, I talked about that camera angle earlier, if this angle is a really good angle for when the ball crosses over the pylon. If you're looking at it this way, or even from behind, but on this angle, it's going to be a good look for the ball crossing, because a lot of times you can see it cross over or outside. Here it hits, makes it pretty easy. Touchdown. Don't have to worry about goal line extended. The ball's dead at that point, but it's dead in the end zone, and it's in his possession, so we got to score. Okay. Here, find the football. Communicators, tell your replay official, okay, what the ruling on the field is. The official appears to be marking it short, but also I want to tell my replay official that the ball came loose, the defense has it. All right, so that's got to get our attention. I can't see much else on my line feed other than I see the runner leave his feet. I know the ball came loose and the defense has it. So if we're thinking about sideline, right, what did we talk about angles? End zone shots are going to be better for sideline. Certainly goal line might help us for the ball if we can get an unobstructed view. Shot from behind. Tough when we talk about sideline, right? That's the problem with the sideline angle. I can't get the perspective of what's between. Is he on the white? Is there green between the foot and the sideline? That's the tough part. But I do see the ball loose and the ball hitting the pylon. So if the loose ball hits the pylon, it's dead. And because A has fumbled it into their opponent's end zone, we'd have a touchback, but we still would have to confirm that the right foot is in bounds. And here's your better luck, okay? So you can see here, it's not right down the line, but the foot is far enough away where we can see that space. Ball's loose, touchback. So again, those are goal line plays. Go through your process, find the football. Did it break the plane? Is it in the end zone? Then find the point where the play is dead, either down by rule, out of bounds, or progress. And then put the two together. When the runner was down, where was the ball in relation to the goal line? Out of bounds, progress. If we've got a pylon involved, we've got to establish, did we get a body part down in the end zone, or did we touch the pylon in order to get the goal line extended? Okay? All right, so let's look at these questions here, okay? When there's only one goal line shot, is it placed on a certain side of the field, like the press box side? And we can talk to TV a little bit tomorrow, but usually, most of the time that goal line shot is going to be your cart, and your cart is on the press box side, the near side. You know, a lot of times if there is the additional angle, handheld, maybe that's on the opposite side, but most of the time your goal line shot is going to be on the press box side. And that's, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's a pretty high percentage where you're going to be on the same side of the field as the press box. TV producer needs to make sure the camera person is instructed to be looking down the goal line and not from an angle. Again, there's a lot of different variables that impact this. This is something we'll continue to talk to our TV partners about, that if we can get, you know, sometimes if it is a handheld, the problem with being right down the line is a lot of times based on where the ball is snapped from, we might have an official standing there. That does happen from time to time, so that might be a factor. But certainly, again, that's something we'll continue to talk to our TV partners about. And I think Ed chimed in here. Okay, handheld cameras that goal line are blocked by, okay, there you go. So Ed pretty much, you know, reiterated kind of the point that we were making about the on-field officials blocking out. So we're either a yard deep or a yard ahead. So we just have to work through that. Goal line goes around the world, old NFL philosophy. The goal line, I mean, it doesn't, the goal line stops at some point. It doesn't go all the way around the world. But if you get the goal line extended, basically what goal line extended means is that I can break the plane of the goal line anywhere out here. I mean, it's going to be physically impossible at some point to go that far outside the pylon. But if I get the goal line extended, it means the ball can cross the goal line out here and still be awarded a score. Can you touch on syncing two different shots to come to a replay decision and when syncing becomes necessary? Certainly, you know, and I would defer to Ed Placey if you want to speak to this, just on syncing shots. I know we try to do that sometimes in the truck. We just got to be careful with trying to sync up shots. It's not always in sync. You know, we can try to piece angles together and try to get a point of reference in each. Certainly, as we look, you know, with our quad, those angles are in sync, and we're running video back and forth. But again, it's the more we try to piece together, the harder it is to come up with definitive evidence. So certainly, we can try to sync up shots. But again, I wouldn't spend a minute and a half trying to sync up shots. Usually that's going to tell you that you don't have enough evidence to make a definitive ruling.
Yeah, I'll just jump in there that your point about the quad, you know, you can count on the quad to be in sync. TV uses some different measures that we try to coach our folks that if you're going to sync something up to view, you know, you have to put the mechanisms in place to make sure it is frame accurate, because some have tried to eyeball it, but you know, even a frame or two off can mean the difference between an accurate call or not. So we try to encourage that if we are going to go with a synced up shot that we're presenting to you, that the frame accurate mechanisms where you're basically matching it up to the frame that's listed on the machines before presenting it to the replay, and that's a conversation that you guys should have with the production crew, is saying, hey, if you are presenting us something synced up, will it be absolutely frame accurate? Because some situations, you know, you could argue it's not.
Thanks, Ed. Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow with the larger group in terms of that sync and the conversation pregame. Appreciate that. How precise do we want to be regarding how close the ball should be to the goal line? For the play where the runner placed the hand out of bounds with the ball short, I'm comfortable saying the ball was past halfway and therefore should likely be 1 foot away, not half yard. However, I don't know what degree of precision should we be communicating. We've typically, as we talk about placing the ball, moving the ball, whether that's line to gate or goal line, where it's almost impossible. That was a great look down the line. That's not the norm. A lot of times we're trying to use an angle that's not right down the line. So I would stick to, you know, we kind of say big yard lines, obviously, or half yard line, or even a length of the football. But when you say to the referee, put the ball 3 inches from the 23-yard line, that's getting to where we can't be that precise. It's going to be impossible to be consistent that way. So stick to half yard lines or a length of a football. I think that's an official a referee could easily do that. But when we start talking about 6 inches, 4 inches, that's where we get into trouble a little bit. If a pylon gets dislodged before the ball carrier reaches it, then what do you do as far as figuring out of bounds versus the end zone? You do the best you can. If the pylon's not there, we can't do anything about that. So the pylon's great when it's standing there because it gives us a point of reference that we can use. But if it's not there, we just try to do the best we can. That's why line to gain plays when the ball is crossing the sideline are so difficult. And very rarely do we have enough evidence to overturn those. We have to miss those by quite a bit in order to overturn those. So we just got to do the best we can. And what if the line to gain was at the 1 yard line? A ruling on the field out of bounds with respect to the line to gain is not reviewable. But if we review because of the goal line instead, should we then move the ball beyond the goal line, beyond the line to gain? Position of the ball in relation to the line to gain is reviewable. Whether it's down or out of bounds, that's reviewable. So if the line to gain is in question, we can look at the position of the ball when the player is out of bounds. So line to gain, goal line, we can always look at the ball in relation to those. We can put the player out of bounds if he's given an advance. If the player runs for, 4, 5, 10, 20 yards and he stepped out prior to that, we can put him out even if the line to gain was not involved or the goal line was not involved. But line to gain is reviewable, whether he's down or out of bounds. And so we can look at that. Regarding the Notre Dame runner placing his hand down with the ball short of the goal line, mention that is reviewable. Is that play also reviewable if it was for the line to gain instead, say at the 50? I asked because I didn't think we could move the ball closer to the line to gain or goal line unless coach challenges. So this is one, I'm going to pull a play and let's spend some time tomorrow on that issue. I don't want to gloss over it. And I want to stick to the schedule. So we're right at the end. So I'll come back to that question tomorrow. And I think there was one other here. Runner appears to contact pylon simultaneous with the right foot, still get goal line extended. Wouldn't matter because he's out of bounds anyway, but we'll cover those two questions tomorrow, and I'll make sure I have some video to support that. Okay. All right. Everyone, great job again tonight, just with our background noise. And I know, again, it's a little bit of a different world. We're trying to run through a bunch of things, but appreciate the attention. We'll make the recording available to everybody, and we'll be back tomorrow, 7 o'clock, if you can, 7 o'clock Eastern. I'll open it up about 10 minutes earlier tomorrow, so try to log on early if you can, just so we can get everybody in and start right at 7 Eastern. That being said, Steve, anything you have before we end?
Dean, I would say great plays tonight. The one comment I wanted to make, and I think you illustrated the goal line situation incredibly well. What I don't want us to do is replay is bail out just because we don't have a shot perfectly down the goal line. You still have to use football common sense, put it together if you can. I think your plays where the ball was so close that angle could distort it are ones we want to stay away from. But too often we hear, well, I didn't have a shot down the goal line, I just bailed out. You got to stay with it. Use good football common sense. But really good plays. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Steve. So, appreciate everything, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll talk to you all tomorrow.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Steve.
Steve.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.